cold and windy here in Antarctica. I can't even do the goddamn intro because it's so cold. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a thing now. It's a nice view of the mountains, though. Just gotta keep going. So we've got a lot of updates for week 4. Probably not as cold as it is here, but still fun. If you're in the warm, make sure you hit like, comment, subscribe. Makes me feel better. I think winds are like 40 miles an hour right now. That's crazy. Well, we'll see how far I keep going, but if not, just fast forward to see what the updates are for the week, and yeah, fuck. See if I can. Oh yeah, that'll work. Yeah, it's cold, man. My truck is shaking so much you can hear it. See, this is Antarctica. It wasn't like this the first couple weeks. Probably enough of that, huh?
All right, now that I'm thawed off and out of the crazy winds, let's go ahead and get into the league updates for week 5. Always starting off with division number 1, we've got the Guinea Pigs. Guinea Pigs for week 4, Shelter Dogs for Veterans beating out Jake Boyko, taking him out of the undefeated spot 152.08 to 143.66. That is a high-scoring shootout, and Jake, you took your first loss this year, so you know you'll rebound, I'm sure. But yeah, CC3PO 104.70 to Cardboard Crusaders 87.80. Game Changer 365 161.90, beating out Patriot Drip 76 144.34. Another high-scoring game. Figment's Crew, that is Becky Mankin over at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel 101.82 to Later Name 138.72. He gets the win there. Comfort Zone 120.42 to If I'm Being Honest 112.88. And now let's take a look at your ranking and see if anything's changed now that Jake has taken a step down from the undefeated booth. Nope, he's still sitting at number 1. He's got quite a bit of points scored more than the other two who are sitting at 3-1, which is CC3PO and Shelter Dogs for Veterans. Got number 3 spot by almost by 100 points. Patriot Drip 76, sitting at 2-2 with Game Changer 365. 6-10, you've got If I'm Being Honest, later named The Comfort Zone, MEI Mouse and Travel, and sitting there in last place is the defending division champion Cardboard Crusaders. 0-4 is not a good place to be. Take a look at Division 2, any given Sunday. Rivalry game, you got Men's Alliance, you got DJ Dove, our co-host for Fantasy Turf War Live on Tuesday nights, going up against Pastor Jack. Pastor Jack's getting the win with Wholehearted Foundation, 127.04 to 118.78. Tracy Norton, we'll talk about her here in a second. 132.68, she gets her first win of the year. Although she was an auto-drafted and a ghosted team, beating out Henry D. Music 125.40. Uncle Mike B retains his seat on top of the throne there with a 114.46, beating out Life and Liberty 88.38. Battle of Central Florida right there. Athlete's Journey 98.50, losing to Jack DiBattista 134.88. And our other co-host, Gridiron Goddess 124.16, beating out Mike Trester 92.92. Nice even number. Again, looking at the rankings, Uncle Mike B is sitting up there at 4-0 with a 511.66 on the points scored. Also has a 357.10 on points allowed. We'll talk about that in a minute. Wholehearted Foundation is sitting at second with 3-1. Jack DiBattista, Gridiron Goddess, also 3-1. Mike Trester leading up to 2-2s. Life and Liberty, Henry D. Music, Men's Alliance sitting there at 8th. Tracy Norton at 1-3, and Athlete's Journey at 0-4. Another 0-4 team. Not a good spot to be in. Division 3, we've got the Goats. Frostbite Brian beating out Sports Idiot Nation 168.80 to 92.66. Bird Management 167.82 beating out Noro Coffee 120.82. That's a really high scoring game. Dan Brown Jr. 115.46 with a pretty close one there against Teamer. DBHL FL beating him out. Renee Neal, her first win of the season, our defending Fantasy Turf War Season 1 champion, 98.28, beating out Flurry Sports, another defending division champion, 95.20 there. So that was a close one, but Renee is on the board. And Mariella Weddings and Events, Rich beat out Steve Carlson, 129.24 to 117.08. And Rich gets to retain his spot at the top. Let's take a look at that. There he is, sitting up there, 4-0 of the 487. Followed by Steve Carlson and Brian Gobble, Bird Management, and Noro Coffee at 2-2. There are no 3-1 teams in the division, so that's interesting. 6-10, Dan Brown Jr., Flurry Sports, DBHL, FL, Sports Idiot Nation, and Renee Neal Photography. So she got her first win. She's still got some catching up to do if she wants to climb out of that last spot. And finally, Division 4, the Monarchs. The Art of Silence with a close one against Loftside Banter. Loftside Banter getting the nod there, 127.86 to 115.88. Alpha Clash with a whopping win, 158.84 to 119 against the Fantasy Couriers. The Division 4 defending champs taking a loss this week. Sprigworks, 102.78, beating out Rad Dad Network, 100.20. Zynga Prince, 94.16, losing to Dragon's Horde, 162.70. That's a pretty commanding win. We'll talk about him again in a second. And Prolific Games and Collectibles beating out Tank Talk 128.24 to 109.72. And there we go, Dragon's Horde Zach sitting at the top with a 4-0. It's 578 on the score there. Loftside Banter with a 3-1 at 457. Alpha Clash starting off the 2-2s with Rad Dad Network, Prolific Games and Collectibles. The Fantasy Couriers, Sprigworks, and then the 1-3 teams, you've got Tank Talk, Art of Silence, and Zynga Prince. So no 0-4 teams in this division at all, which means it's pretty healthy there. But let's take a look across the league, and one of my favorite parts are the statistics here. Dragon's Horde has the most points scored, 4. That's a 578.66. And the lowest is Renee Neal with a 337.24. That's how many points each team has scored this season. So pretty big gap there in terms of top to bottom. But it's not necessarily about how many points you score. It's about how many points you get scored against you. And that's where we pull up this one. So the most points scored against the team is against Gridiron Gal. That's Tracy Norton's team. which is being replaced this next week. They were not playing, so we replaced them with someone who's active. But they did have the most points scored against them at 538.76. Of course, they have no control over that, but it is an indicator of their record. And then also, you can call this the easiest schedule kind of thing. Uncle Mike B, who is 4-0, has a 357.24 is how many points have been scored against him. So not a whole lot. Week 5 averages per division. So Division 1, Guinea Pigs, average score was a 126.82. Division 2 was a 115.72. Division 3 was a 121.05. And Division 4 was a 121.93. So you can see there's Division 2 was pretty on the short side this week. In Division 1 there with a 126.82 had the win in terms of the averages. Across the season, though, you've got the highs and lows, and so you can see there is some fluctuation there in terms of what the highest scores are, and there's kind of a baseline about 66, 68, 69 points in terms of how low teams are going this season. And there's a chart about how the points have been going each week. Now that the bye weeks are about to start, you'll see a dip here. I imagine we see it just about every year. Week 5, where the points will just take a nosedive because half the teams are starting to, fall off their players and injuries start to accumulate and things like that. So I would expect a dip here, but it is interesting to see. And of course, the overall standings. We've got all 40 teams lined up here, and their changes, and their points for, and their records. So let's go down the list. You've got Dragon's Horde still sitting in the number 1 spot there with a commanding 578.66. Got about 60, almost 70 points on the number 2 spot. Uncle Mike B, 4-0. And again, he hasn't had very many points scored against him, so he has had a very fortunate schedule, but he is putting up a lot of points. He's over 500. In third place, you've got Mariella Falls Wedding and Events sitting at 4-0. Jake Boyko, again, he took his loss, but he's got some points, so he'll sit in the 4th spot. Wholehearted Foundation, Jack D. Batista, CC3PO, and Shelter Dogs for Veterans rounding out the top 8. Lopside Banter, Gridiron Goddess, Patriot Dip 76, Steve Carlson, Alpha Clash TCG, Brian Gobble, Bird Management, and Rad Dad Network are your top 16 there. Quite a big jump there for Bird Management, climbing 14 spots this week. 17 to 24, you've got Noro Coffee, Game Changer 365, Dan Brown Jr., Prolific Games and Collectibles, Flurry Sports, If I'm Being Honest, the Fantasy Couriers, and later named at the 24th spot. Biggest drop here is Game Changer 365 dropped 13 spots. 25 to 32, you've got Teamer, Mike Trester, The Comfort Zone, Spragueworks, Life and Liberty, Henry D Music, Men's Alliance, and Becky Mankin over at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel, getting into the 1 and 3 teams here. 11 spots were dropped by Becky with a loss this week, so we'll see if she can make a rebound. And then, of course, rounding out the 40 teams, we've got Sports Idiot Nation, Tank Talk, The Art of Silence, Tracy Norton, Zynga Prince, Renee Neal Photography, An Athlete's Journey, and Cardboard Crusaders. All right, now we're getting into the division teams. So we've got the rankings pulled up on these now. So Division 1, here we go. The first matchup is Shelter Dogs for Veterans, number 8 team playing against the number 24, later named. CC3PO taking on Becky Mankin at 7 and 32, the ranks there. Game Changer 365, 18th ranked, playing 22 ranked. If I'm Being Honest, that should be a close one. Patriot Drip 76, see if he can send Jake on a 2-loss streak there. Number 11 seed playing the 4 seed. And Cardboard Crusaders sit in the very last spot there against the Comfort Zone. See if he can get a win this season. 40th ranked against the 27th ranked. Division 2, here we go. Men's Alliance sitting at 1 and 3 against Team Conley. This is Tracy's old team, so we have found a new team. Team has named themselves Team Conley for right now. 31 and 36 ranked teams. This should be a good matchup. Henry D Music against An Athlete's Journey, 30 and 39 ranked. Uncle Mike B, let's see if Mike Trester can put some points up on him, taking him out of that number 2 spot there. Andrew Mori sitting at 29 against Jack DiBattista at 6. And of course, our other co-host, Gridiron Goddess, sitting in the 10 spot against Wholehearted Foundation, sitting in the number 5 spot. So that would be a very interesting one to see. Division 3. Brian taking on Teamer, 13 and 25. Bird Management in the 15 spot. Bird, I told you if you didn't get me a picture, I was going to put my own in there. So there it is. It's going to stay there until I get a new one. 15 spot, and Renee Neal coming out at the 38 spot with her first win of the season. Noro Coffee in the 17th ranked against Sports 88 Nation in 33. Dan Brown Jr. against, there's a typo there, Mariella Falls Wedding and Events. That's Rich in the number 3 spot. Steve Carlson sitting in 12th against Flurry Sports sitting in 21. And then, of course, Division 4, you've got DJ Hall, The Art of Silence against Loftside Banter, 35 and 24th ranked. That will be a good one for DJ to win. Fantasy Couriers, that is JJ Wing, the other half of the Fantasy Couriers there. 23rd ranked against Alpha Clash TCG, 14th ranked. They had a big week. These division teams are not doing so well this year. The defending champs, sorry. Spragueworks, 28th ranked against Rad Dad, 16th. And Zynga Prince against Dragon's Horde. Zynga, I'm not entirely confident, but I'm hopeful that you put up some points this week. I know you're on the lower end of trends when it comes to points scored. Hopefully you can pull off the win here against Dragon's Horde and knock him off the undefeated podium. 5-0 would be a great feat for him to achieve. See if you can stop him from that. And then Tank Talk in the 34th spot against Roberto at Prolific Gaming Collectibles at the 20th spot. That should be a good one to watch too. All right, that's going to do it for this week. I hope you guys like the statistics and the updates. And if you like some of these videos, please let me know. Again, this is something new we're trying here with the content outside. So if you like that, make sure you comment and all that stuff. It really helps the algorithm. Get some eyeballs to our channel and that kind of thing. But yeah, we appreciate it. And until next time, I will see you.
Good God, I can't even open the door.